About 11 years ago, I bought this game and I instantly fell in love with it. Now, I'm not sure if it's the atmosphere or the story, maybe it's just the overall concept, but you get hooked the moment you press play because the question it asks you is simple. What if you died and your own murder became the case you had to solve? The story opens with reports of a serial killer known as the Bell Killer.
A serial killer is terrorizing the normally sleepy streets of
This crude drawing
Salem.
of a bell has been left at the scene of several murders
Leading
over the
police
past
to refer
few
to the
weeks.
murderer as the Bell Killer.
Then we meet Ronan, a detective with a rough past.
I'm O'Connor. You're under arrest for the assault and battery of Vincent Coulter.
Guilty on 2 counts of grand theft auto.
On the indictment of burglary.
Grand larceny and assault with a deadly weapon.
And built a reputation before eventually turning his life around, largely because of his wife, Julia, who also happens to be the sister of his lieutenant, Rex. But when Julia dies, Ronan becomes reckless. But that doesn't last long. While chasing a suspect alone, Ronan gets overpowered and thrown out a window. Now at first glance, it looks like he might have been killed from that fall, but strangely, he gets up pretty fast. For a second, it feels like he survived, but then reality hits. Ronan is now a ghost, and he's forced to watch as the killer finishes him off with his own gun. He briefly reunites with Julia, a powerful and almost peaceful moment, but she tells him,
Something about your life isn't finished yet.
and until he figures that out, he can't move on. That's when he meets Joy, a teenage medium who can actually see him.
Wait a minute. You can see me? And hear me?
At first, she wants nothing to do with him, but it quickly becomes clear they need each other. Ronan needs someone who can interact with the living world, and Joy needs a detective to help find her mother. Their search takes them through a church, the police station, and eventually a hospital, where they meet Iris, a survivor whose twin sister died protecting her, and is still lingering by her side, even in death. As they investigate, they uncover something disturbing. The Bell Killer isn't choosing victims randomly, he's targeting mediums, people like Joy. The deeper they dig, everything seems to point to something bigger. At first, suspicion falls on Baxter, a shady cop who always seems to be around at the wrong time. But the truth seems to be more supernatural. The Bell Killer isn't just a person. A little girl named Abigail was executed during the witch trials. She's been possessing people for years, using them to hunt down mediums she believes are witches, even using people he knows to carry out the killings, even himself. And now, Joy's next. Everything spirals into a final intense struggle that literally drags them into a hellish realm. As the demons are occupied with Abigail, Ronan is able to get free of the demon's grasp, putting an end to Abigail for good. Joy is finally safe, she reunites with her mom, and Ronan's unfinished business is finally resolved. And in one last emotional moment, he hears Julia calling him. This time, he's ready. Ronan can finally move on. But the story isn't the only thing that makes this game stand out. The gameplay tends to be less about combat and more about detective work. Using your supernatural abilities, you can possess people, uncover hidden memories, and piece together clues in a way only Ronan can. Around halfway through the game, you gain the ability to teleport after chasing a ghostly little girl. I think there's only like a couple times where the game forces you to use it, but you can use it whenever you like to navigate the world a little faster. There are hidden clues scattered throughout the map, small remnants of past events that add even more depth to the story, and add to the interactable elements to the gameplay. Most encounters come down to QTEs when dealing with demons, but even then, you have options. You can hide in ghostly residue, possess someone, or just avoid them entirely. Although, there is a risk. There are demonic portals scattered throughout the game, and if you fail those encounters, you're dragged straight to hell. Now what really brings everything together is the setting. The game takes place in Salem, Massachusetts, a city deeply tied to the witch trials of 1692. The colonial architecture alone sets the tone, but what makes it special is how the game blends the two worlds together. Since Ronan is stuck between life and death, you don't just see the modern world, you see remnants of the past layered over it. Old fencing, boats, pieces of history still lingering in the present. Sometimes, you'll even spot spirits watching from a distance. When you get too close, they disappear. Others, you can interact with. And those moments lead to something much deeper. What really stuck with me wasn't just the mystery, it was the smaller stories. There are multiple interactions with lost souls, each one tied to something tragic. A drunk driving accident, depression, loneliness, even something as simple as a neighbor conflict gone way too far. Some spirits are just stuck. And then there's one that really stands out. A man who was hearing voices and just wanted it all to stop. No one listened, no one cared, no one took him seriously. So he ran himself a bath, waiting for his skin to soften. There's a moment where he says he almost didn't go through with it. He was about to get out, but the radio on the edge of the tub, he, by accident, kicked it in while getting out. A woman saved multiple people while their boat sank during a storm. She saved everyone but couldn't save herself. Now she stands here wondering what happened to her. Eventually you come along and help her move on to the light. Finally at rest, she knows she died a hero. And that's what I mean by sad but beautiful. Because yes, these are tragic and awful moments, but some of these spirits can finally move on and find peace. And others, maybe they never can, but at the very least, they are no longer being tortured by their own minds. Murdered Soul Suspect isn't just a detective story. It's a story about loss, unresolved pain, and what it really means to move on. It's not perfect, but it's unique. And it's a game that stayed with me long after I finished it, and that's what makes the game special. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out my other videos, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you later.